Welcome to your one-stop shop for picking the optimal FPL captain every game week. Let's kick things off with the Game Week 14 shortlist. First up is the man in form defending the captain's armband against Everton away from home in a Merseyside derby, it's Mo Salah. His challengers this week are two Spurs players, Harry Kane and his teammate Son Heung-min, both of which have the home advantage against Brentford. They also benefit from extra recovery days due to the postponed fixture, which we'll see later on in the video. Salah and Son have the perk of being midfielders where they get an extra point per goal and a clean sheet point potential as well. Lukaku and Mahrez are the honourable mentions for this video, but their expected minutes put me off. Anyway, let's take a look at the stats from this and last season combined. The two Spurs players have the exact same amount of goal and assist points per 90 minutes. Whilst they're battling it out amongst themselves, Salah takes the lead on the return points with 3.7. He's ahead by 0.7 on that metric and 0.8 on the expected return points per 90 minutes with 3.2. All three players on the shortlist are clinical finishers and they've overperformed their underlying stats by quite a bit. It's actually Salah who's done this by the least as well. But there's one thing we've got to remember, these stats are from this and last season combined. They're skewed heavily by last season because that is a big chunk of the data. Salah's much better this season, Kane and Son are much worse, so Salah wins by quite a margin. Another thing that adds to his case is the fact that he dominates on the expected return points per 90 minutes, and that's the one that's the best at projecting future return points than actual return points themselves. Moving on to the set pieces. Salah and Kane are on penalty duties for their respective clubs, whilst Son can't be because of Kane. As for the free kicks and corners, Salah occasionally takes the odd direct free kick, but it tends to be Trent, and he doesn't take indirect free kicks or corners. Kane doesn't take any of those either, but he is the main man on direct free kicks for Spurs. Son is the main man on indirect free kicks and corners, which makes him the only player on the shortlist. And like Salah, he does chip in on the direct free kicks every now and then. Overall, it's Kane who wins the set pieces section. Now let's take a look at the probability of each player scoring or assisting. These odds are based on the assumption that each player plays 90 minutes. We'll review the expected minutes later on in the video. Salah has the best chance of scoring by 3%. Son has the best chance of assisting by 5%, but it's not enough to compensate for his anytime goal scorer odds where he's miles behind. The anytime return odds increment by 5%, with Son being the lowest and Salah being the highest. The FPL scoring system means that Salah batters the other two players more than what meets the eye. He gets an extra point per goal than what Kane does, and his odds are weighted heavily on goals, unlike Son where you get 5 points for a goal and 3 points for an assist. Looking at the points projections, they're actually closer than what I thought they'd be. Fantasy Football Fix have Salah miles ahead of his two competitors, but Fantasy Football Scout have got it very tight. They're projecting Son to finish on the exact same amount of points as Salah, and Kane just 0.2 behind. Even still, Salah wins the points projections too. By comparing the opposition's defence, we can see that there's actually not that much between the opponents. Just a side note, these stats are taken from this and last season combined for a larger sample size of data. I've applied a 1.6 multiplier to Brentford stats from last season because the Premier League is roughly 60% more difficult than the Championship from a defensive perspective. The fixture is slightly more difficult for Salah than what meets the eye because he plays away from home, and it's the same for Kane and Son but the other way around. Another thing that doesn't help Salah is the fact that a Merseyside derby will be quite hostile. It's the Spurs players who win this section with the fixture difficulty rating being slightly easier. Before we make a decision, let's carry out a quick risk assessment. The Spurs players have had a full week extra of preparation for this fixture. This is ideal whilst the matches are coming thick and fast. Still though, 4 days is more than enough resting time, and that's displayed through the expected minutes. All three players practically have the same amount of expected minutes. If anything, this proves that it's now safe to conclude. Okay, so I'm a season ticket holder at Goodison, and it kills me to say it, but I'll be captaining Salah in Game Week 14. For once, I'll be sat on the edge of my seat, hoping my captain blanks. Anyway, thanks for watching, hit the like button if you found the video informative, hit the subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'll see you here again for Game Week 15.